Let's shift our focus again, everyone, to the politics of Kogi State. Last week, the Deputy Governor of Kogi State, Mr. Simon Achuba, was impeached by members of the Kogi State House of Assembly on Friday in Lokoja, the state capital. Achuba's impeachment followed the submission of a report of the committee set up by the State Chief Judge, Justice Nasiru Ajana, to investigate an allegation of gross misconduct against the former Deputy Governor. Years into the Bello's administration, Achuba was reported to be engulfed in a disagreement with the governor, an issue which escalated with both sides trading blames. In August 2019, Mr. Achuba raised an alarm of an alleged threat to his life and accused his principal of intolerance of contrary views. He also criticized the administration for non-performance, claiming that was the reason for the rift between him and Governor Bello. What the impeached Deputy Governor of Kogi State, Simon Achuba, has described his ouster from office as unconstitutional. According to Mr. Achuba, the entire process is illegal and will not stand. Take a listen to him.
What they have done is completely illegal. It is a shame and an insult on the people of Kogi State and the entire nation in general. And I think that if our democracy is worth growing, this state, the entire nation must rise to the occasion to ensure that this lawlessness, as it is being done in Kogi State.
Well, let's get some perspectives on the ongoings in Kogi State. I have joining me a senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Jibrin Okutapa, who is a lawyer to Mr. Simon Achuba. And on the telephone is Mr. Mohammed Onogu. He's the chief press secretary to the governor of Kogi State, Yaya Bello. Thank you so much, senior advocate, for joining us tonight. The stand of your client, Mr. Achuba, is that what has happened is illegal. But this was a consensus of the members of the House of Assembly in Kogi State.
Well, Sheung, thank you for the privilege to be here tonight. But let me say that one of the limitations to what democracy is all about is the rule of law. Now, the Kogi State House of Assembly caused the Chief Judge of Kogi State to set up a panel. That panel came out on the 18th of this month with a verdict that the allegations against the Deputy Governor of Kogi State were not proved. And by virtue of Section 188, subsection 8 of the Constitution, once a verdict of allegation not proved is returned, as it has been returned in the document that I have, that I'm holding in my hand here, and at page 33 of that document, then the Kogi State House of Assembly becomes completely impotent, becomes completely castrated. They can no longer take any decision on the matter. So it does not matter that all of the members of Kogi State House of Assembly agree to do what they claim they have done. It's an act of constitutional illegality. It's a coup against Nigerian Constitution. And I think the well-meaning Nigerians should rise up against this tyranny operating or masquerading in the Kogi State House of Assembly as members of the House of Assembly. I see what they have done as law-breaking rather than making law. They are bound by the Constitution, and they must be held
Mr. Okutapa, accountable
to that Constitution.
All right, let's take a breather. But when we come back, we'll look at the options on the table for Mr. Achuba, the impeachment saga in Kogi State, and the looming replacement of Mr. Achuba. We understand that might happen tomorrow. Join us again, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. If some of the words on the ground in Kogi State is correct, there might just be a new deputy governor in Kogi State tomorrow. and we understand that the chief of staff to the governor, Mr. Edward Onoja, might be sworn in tomorrow. Well, this comes in the heels of the impeachment move made by the House of Assembly in Kogi State, who made an impeachment move on Mr. Simon Achuba, who had a rift with the governor, Yaya Bello. Tonight, we've been speaking with Mr. Jibrin Okutepa, senior advocate of Nigeria and lawyer to Mr. Achuba. And also, we have on the telephone now Mr. Mohammed Onogu, the chief press secretary to the Kogi State governor, Yaya Bello, who joins us via telephone from Lokoja, is unable to join us in the studio. Let's hear from Mr. Onogu. Mr. Onogu, I mean, the move by the House of Assembly has been described as illegality by Mr. Okutepa. How would you react to it, and what's the stance of Governor Yaya Bello on this?
Good evening, Mr. Achuba, and thank you for having me. And good evening to our listener outside there. I can't reply to Okutepa on what he has said because it is a legislative matter which I am not supposed to speak about. But recall that on the 7th of August in 2019, during one of the sittings of the Kogi State House of Assembly, the commenced impeachment process against the former Deputy Governor of Kogi State, Elder Simon Achuba. And on that day, they wrote to the judiciary to, set up the the panel of inquiry to investigate the allegations leveled against the former deputy governor. And on the 18th of this month, which is Friday last week, the panel of inquiry submitted its report to the State House of Assembly. And from their resolution, they communicated to the executive that the deputy governor, former deputy governor of Kogi State, Simon Achuba, has been impeached. Therefore, the governor has to do the needful by sending in a nominee to be screened by the assembly. And that the governor has done from the executive angle of government. Because let me bring to your attention that in Kogi State or in Nigeria, there is a doctrine of separation of power among the three arms of government, the judiciary, the executive, and the legislature. The state government or the governor of the state, who is the executive governor of the state, cannot interfere by that doctrine in whatever affairs that is taking place in the legislature or the judicial arm of government. The involvement of the governor in the whole of this matter arises from the Friday notification to him to submit the name of his nominee to be screened and confirmed, as the case may be, as the deputy governor after the impeachment of Simon.
So who is in pole position now for that role? We understand that a possible announcement may be made tomorrow and a swearing in may be done tomorrow.
Yes, the governor, without any outer of doubt, in order to create a vacuum in the governance system, has responded to the assembly request by submitting the name of his running mate, his former chief of staff, Edward Onoja, to be screened as the deputy governor.
So Onoja has been screened and is likely to be sworn in tomorrow. Is that true?
Let us not put the cat before the let us not put the cat before the horse.
Has Mr. Onoja been screened?
Constitutional provision.
Has Mr. Onoja been screened?
Hello.
As Mr. Onoja, has he been screened for the position of the deputy governor of Kogi State?
To the best of my knowledge, the governor has transmitted his name as the deputy governor to the House of Assembly. And we are aware that tomorrow, Monday, he will be screened by the House of Assembly.
So but the question here, again, Mr. Onogu, before I get to hear again from Mr. Okutepa, is that there is an alleged illegality being done in the legislature. Would the governor say that because of separation of powers, is not going to say anything about it? That is probably going to act on illegality. Is that the stand of the governor?
It is exactly. It is not. It is not for me to tell whether what he has done is illegal or not. There are rules of proceeding. There are rules of proceeding, and there are rules of proceeding as far as I'm concerned.
It appears that the network is really messing around. So we'll get back to Mr. Onogo. Let's get back to Abuja studio with Mr. Okutapa. Senior advocate, come back into some of the question I asked Mr. Onogo. React to it. What options are there for your client, Mr. Achuba? Because it looks so much that from the point of view of the government in Kogi State, is no longer the deputy governor. What are the options left for you legally?
I think there is a conspiracy between the executive and the legislature in Kogi State. You can see the awkward movement. But let me quickly say something before I get lost in this discussion. I will be surprised even if the judicial arm of government in Kogi State will let itself in support of this illegality and constitutional abracadabra, because in the eyes of the law, and up to and including now, what the Kogi State House of Assembly purported to have done constitute constitutional illegality. It is null and void. It is ex nihilo nihil fit. From nothing, nothing comes. Because a close look at Section 188, subsection 8 of the Nigerian Constitution clearly castrated them the moment the panel turned in its report and said that the allegations against the deputy governor were not proved. Mark you, the Kogi State House of Assembly called 8 witnesses before the panel. These 8 witnesses were subjected to thorough cross-examination. They didn't have any iota of evidence to prove the allegation. The deputy governor was cleared. He was given a clean bill of health. The report is in public domain. Even the blind can read it. The deaf can hear it. So if Kogi State House of Assembly decides to
Senior advocate, the question now is that it's looking like the deed is done, and it's looking like in the next 24 hours, there might be a replacement for Mr. Achuba. I'm asking again, what are the options on the table for Mr. Achuba, legally speaking?
Mr. Achuba is in court with them. They are aware of it. He will go to court. They are aware. The Kogi State House of Assembly has no respect for Constitution, have no respect for court of law. In fact, what is going on in Kogi State is a reminiscence of a state of the nature where the mighty is right. No law is a lawless state. And I think this is a time that the federal government, the people of Nigeria, must rise against this impunity. This kind of lawlessness should not have a place in our 21st century. But it's as if we are back to 16th century, where the will of the one man is what everybody seems to follow. How can you say the deputy governor has been impeached? Upon what basis?
All right. Mr. Onogo, quickly, I'd like you to react quickly to what Senior Advocate Okutapa has just said as your final word tonight. Mr. Onogo.
Yes, what I have to say is that, just like I said earlier, we have only one place to intervene as the executive in this matter, and it is to respect and obey the decision and the right of the State Assembly, who has required the state government to send a nominee for the confirmation and for the screening as the deputy governor. We have done that. You understand? So in the rest of the matter, whether what the legislation did or the judiciary is illegality, they have, in fact, they are in better position to respond to that. But as executive arm of government, we have fulfilled our obligation, constitutional obligation, not to allow any vacuum in the running of the government by submitting the name of Chief Edward Onoja as the deputy governor of Kogi State to the House of Assembly. And by the grace of God, the House of Assembly has informed us that the screening will commence tomorrow, and by the grace of God, he will be the next deputy governor of Kogi State.
Mr. Mohammed Onogu, Chief Press Secretary to Governor Yaya Bello of Kogi State. And I must sincerely thank both of you, as well as Mr. Jibrin Okutapa, Senior Advocate of Nigeria and lawyer to Mr. Simon Achuba. Thank you so much, Senior Advocate, for coming on tonight. Well, that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Kimbale. Bye-bye.